Go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FTU cast. You've got the crew back. You got myself, Yoni, Jesse, and Reggie. How you guys going? How's your weekend been?
Very good.
Explosive.
There was a lot going on at once.
Too soon.
That was
Good.
horrible. We may not have more chemistry than that. We'll go one by one. We'll start with Jesse.
I'm good, mate. Bayern won 5-0. I can't complain.
Watch the game?
Yeah, I did actually. Musiala scored, Elise scored, Kane scored,
Elise.
Nat scored, Elise, Elias. I don't know, mate. The guy's shy, doesn't like talking. Just scores. Good.
Yoni, how are you?
Yoni?
Just me or Reg?
Yoni.
You.
I said Yoni.
Whoops, I heard Reg. Nah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just had some parties. Like kid parties, obviously, because I don't do real parties anymore. And but it's good. It was included. Hell yeah.
Just to clarify, he has children. He's not just going to kids' parties.
Yeah, let's clarify. He is not a PDF. We'll say that. So he's a good boy. Reggie, how are you?
Yeah, so the chemistry is out of whack, and I think it's because of all the fixture congestion with all these episodes that we're doing.
What a segue.
We just had a break.
Well,
for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've had break.
We've had a break.
Oh yeah.
We've had a bit of a break aside from the watch along last week, which was a lot of fun. So we hope to do more of those as the season goes on, because there'll be a lot of opportunities for it. Because we've had a break, but who hasn't had a break is the entirety of the European football contingent. Because today we do want to discuss kind of a tie-in topic. We want to talk about the new Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, all them leagues format, but then also how that's affecting player fatigue and fixture congestion, where it's actually leading to talks spearheaded by a massive advocate for this, Rodri from Man City, who's been talking about player striking.
Ooh.
We want to discuss it because it is becoming an issue. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but just sort of maybe kick off a bit of a discussion. For English teams, if a team, which is likely Man City, if a team were to play every game of every competition, they would likely be playing 79 games for the season, which is astronomically high, but we'll get everyone's thoughts on it. Yoni, I know you've got very passionate thoughts on this, so let's start with you.
Well, I mean, for me, I guess it depends on like what side of the coin you're kind of looking at. But in regards to obviously congestion itself, it is way too many games. 76 or whatever the case is just too much. And what's going to end up happening is players will get injured. We knew that already from last season as well. We're going to end up having worse games off later on in the actual season, I'd say, because people are going to be playing their second string in regards to resting. We even saw old mate Ten Hag rest his team for the first time ever, I think, in 3 years, about a week ago. So, it is bad. I know you call him Rodri, but I'd call him Varane 2.0 because Varane started this a couple of years ago as well. It was a big thing and look what happened to him, obviously. But
at least Rodri plays though.
Yeah, Varane plays with himself.
Varane's just working smarter, not harder, by getting injured.
Yeah. Got a new job, first day. I'm going to the bench, thanks. And but I actually my issue is, I guess, more in regards to the players themselves and how the fans perceive the whole situation. A lot of fans out there are like, "Oh, who cares? You're earning so much money," or they're saying, "Oh, that's why we have such big squads and all that kind of stuff." But then, when you have a think about it, as a fan, if I go to a game, I want to see the best 11. All right, and so that means if that can't happen, and let's say we lose or whatever the case is because we're resting players, I'm going to be like, "Oh, I should have played the best 11," which is a bit contradictory because you can't say we have a squad, you're earning all this money, and then at the same time you say, "Oh, you should play your best 11," like if you lose and things like that, because which one is it? They're two sides like of opposite spectrums. So that's one thing that I think is a bit annoying because you see it happen all the time. The media will pile on someone, the fans will pile up on a manager just because they're not playing the best 11. They'll lose a game and then they'll be like, "Well, it's your fault." So yeah, that's why I get quite annoyed.
I've got
fair enough.
similar opinions
there,
to Yoni. Alex, you'd probably understand a bit of what I'm going to mention, but the NBA went through something similar where fans were forking out all their money to go to a game, and then players essentially were forced into sitting out because of the congestion, calling out load management. So they wanted to bring in rules where the players would have to have a legitimate injury to sit out, as a way of appealing to the fans, giving them that little bit of guarantee that unless they're listed as injured, players are going to appear. And then players worked around it and just started getting sick and getting like the smallest injuries. So eventually NBA caved and stopped doing so many back-to-backs and spread out the schedule a bit more, just so...
To talk on that though, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not a huge basketball fan, but basketball tickets in general for the NBA are quite expensive, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at
Can be, depending on the
hundreds.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but if you
depending on
look
the
at
team, but you're looking at like hundreds for the nosebleeds, yeah.
if you look at Premier League, most of those tickets are like, I mean, maybe the top teams are a bit more expensive, but they're still relatively cheap in comparison to NBA. So then the clubs don't make a lot of money off tickets.
Yeah, but
especially
that's relative to like the fan experience. Like someone in America paying their $500 to go watch X player play, and they don't appear because they played the night before. And then you think about the Premier League, how much, like especially the big clubs in the Premier League, how many of those people are tourists? So they've flown across the planet. So like, I get the club's not making as much money, but you're taking just as much away from the fan.
at the end of the day, though, like, yeah, I don't know. I agree and I disagree at the same time, because I think the issue comes is the clubs need to play more games to make more money to pay the wages the players are on, and players don't want to reduce their wages. So what are the clubs going to do? Because it's a business. Football is not a money making business. Most people who own clubs lose money to do it, unless you're Man United, where the Glazers just take everything out of it. But most club owners are losing money running clubs. So, like, how do you justify paying? You know, if we look at Varane, for example, who started a lot of these with his comments, Varane. He was on what, 375,000 a week at United.
I think so.
Something like that, yeah.
And then he's complaining that he's playing too much. So okay, reduce your wage. Play. Put in your contract. I only want to play the Premier League, and I only want to play 25 games. Sure,
but you can actually really work. You can work on that, like as a club. You know, obviously you can have the you know, your actual salary, and then you have your bonuses based on how many appearances you make and things like that. So you can have the down payment that's maybe not that big.
You can reduce the weekly wage and increase your appearance fee, so you only get that sum if you play.
But players don't want
That's
that.
That's what the NBA did as well.
If you look at, I was going to say that I believe the NBA has like a 51% broadcast right, so the players earn 51% of the money.
I don't know about that, but what NBA did recently is that you have to play a certain number of games to qualify for All NBA, which is like a team of the season, and then
all the individual
certain
awards.
players have and then certain players have clauses in their contract where if they make these All NBA teams, they then get like a bonus of, I think, 50 million. I think on top of the contract, they have ridiculous contracts. It's something like that. I think Tyrese Halliburton, Reggie, correct me if I'm wrong, Tyrese Halliburton was one player that missed out on that because he had a hamstring. He had a massive hamstring injury this season that they rushed him back for, and then but it's tough. I find it tough comparing NBA to football, because NBA is just like the one tournament, one league, one season you play, but then you go into a playoffs to actually like determine the champion. So that's often what's encouraged players like LeBron, like the Spurs back in the day, to just take the piss out of the season and not give a shit and load manage, so to speak. And America, it's also because America's so big, you're traveling. The travel is a lot harder. Sometimes you're having to go from New York to LA and then have to play like the following day, which is just too much. It's like a 4 or 5 hour flight. That's too much for an athlete. Whereas with football, you're mostly within your own country, and you can't really, like, it's hard to load manage, quote unquote. Like, games matter more in football. you can't really have like an off game because of the league structures and tournaments and things like that. It's not like NBA where you can just piss fight around for like the regular season. I don't know if anyone's got something to say on that.
And isn't it like, I'll correct me if I'm wrong, but can't you get fined for rotating your squad too much and they lose? Hasn't that happened in the past?
I think
In NBA.
In NBA?
No, in the Prem.
I know.
No,
there has-
NBA did. The Spurs.
There was
the
the
Spurs
thing
got
where they
fined
were
for-
trying to like complain about Liverpool when the whole thing happened with Aston Villa and the Club World Cup, right? Or whatever. Oh, sorry,
The thing I'm thinking of, it might have been Spurs or
No,
something like that.
there were-
Yeah,
they
Spurs
rotated, like,
Spurs
9
got
players.
fined. Yeah, Spurs
You
got
were
fined for it.
you were right because there was an investigation by the EFL last season. 2 seasons ago against Burnley for fielding a weaker team because they the EFL saw it as match fixing because Burnley fielded a weaker team and drew the game instead of winning or losing.
Yeah.
was that later, like at the end of the season?
Yeah, because they rotated.
Yeah, I think I remember
Might
that.
have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Also remember as well, like, I mean, to be fair, rotating
because
and
they
trying
do
to
that
navigate
too.
around congestion.
Yeah,
Go on.
but it's also like you rotate against a week. So if say you're Huddersfield, right, and you're in the Premier League, you're playing Man United, you're going to rotate and not worry about that game because your chances of beating United are very slim. And if your next week
pretty
your
high at the
game
moment.
is
I don't know.
no, but if
wrong example.
the next-
wrong
if the
example.
next-
Maybe use
no,
maybe use
no,
City
but-
as the example.
okay, City, but like the next week if you've got Burnley,
Big
right,
game. Yeah.
who are at the bottom
Yeah,
of the
it's a
table with
big
you,
game.
you'd rather rest your players against United and have your best team against Burnley because that's a game that you could potentially
Yeah,
win
but-
to put you up.
But
And
a
that's
team
what
like
their
but a team
issue
like
is.
Huddersfield, but a team like Huddersfield aren't going to cop the fixture congestion because they're not in Europe having to deal with that. The issue is more so for the bigger clubs who run the risk of playing that high number of games. And I was going to say, like, rotating, it's been a thing for a while. I remember the infamous Slippy G game. Chelsea that game fielded a nonsense squad because they had the Champions League that week. They had the semi-final that week. So it's been a thing for a while. It's just becoming more amplified now. I know for Ten Hag's first season at United, we played the most games in Europe, and by the end, our squad was shot. I think that's when Varane started his whole crusade, because by that point, we lost half our team towards the end of that season. Everyone just got injured. There's also the World Cup mid-season, which stuffed up a lot of teams. So it's become bigger last couple of years.
Yeah, so
And,
the off season's becoming more and more congested. I think we kind of discussed it while we're waiting for someone to rock up. The new Club World Cup format as well is also playing its part in upsetting the players.
Yeah, and I think that's where, so there's talk of a strike. If there's going to be a strike, I think it's going to be for that. I don't think they're going to strike for the Premier League or anything like that. They're going to strike for this, which is stupid because that's going to give them more money than the Premier League, but, whatever. But because I think there's going to be the new format is going to have a number of teams. It's going to be huge. So,
while we're speaking about formats, can I just say I love the UCL new format at the moment.
No, you don't.
I really do. Because, I was
Do you?
looking at this, right? I'll tell you why. I was looking at this. And you know how the top 8 teams qualify and then you have the 16 teams or whatever.
I think it's the next 8 go in that knockout.
Whatever the case is.
Something.
But the top 8, right? I honestly, if I look at the list of the teams that are in the competition right now, there's about 14, 15 teams that I can see actually making that top 8. So it's quite interesting because just the battle for that will be quite good. And even if you look at the matches we've seen up to now, they've been good matches. Monaco beat Barcelona, Leverkusen, Feyenoord, yes, Leverkusen won, but they're just good stuff. I really liked it. Girona almost got points off PSG. Liverpool underdogs beating Milan. So it's been quite good.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the new format. It gives a little more variety as well, rather than just the classic home and away against the same teams.
Yeah, we can get to that shortly. I do just maybe want to touch on because the potential of the strike does get a bit it gets interesting because I think the one thing maybe I want to ask you guys is, do you think it'll be successful? And the reason I ask that is because, again, going back to the example of the NBA, as Reggie mentioned earlier, they caved in to the players' demands, and NBA in this era has been very player driven. What the players want, they tend to get, and the NBA have to work around it. They've got a very, very strong players union. Do we think maybe that the footballers would probably be able to like take that inspiration from that and do what they want?
It depends because like it's you can't compare it because when you're protesting the NBA, that's the organization that runs the entire league. Whereas who are the players going to protest? Because their clubs.
Well, I mean,
pay
I guess
them.
they'll be protesting FIFA if it's for the Club World Cup, right?
At the end of the day, FIFA will just turn around and go, well, if you don't want to play, we'll select the next best European clubs. And there's going to be a list of European clubs that will happily come over and play. And those players, if FIFA goes, we'll give you extra money to play, they'll come.
But that just
less
tanks
people will watch
the quality of that trophy when it's already kind of looked down on, and that's why they've tried to revitalize it.
But the issue is though, it's not every if you're taking all the Premier League clubs out, like Manchester City, Chelsea, or whatever, who are qualified for it, I believe, you still got the German clubs, the French clubs, the Italian clubs, those who have qualified. So if they're not striking, then the impact's not going to be huge because
it'll have to be like a proper strike. But I guess the issue is, and this is why I guess we also hear it more in England than we do in other countries. Is one, England also, again, they don't have a Christmas break. You know how they did the whole thing where half the team played 1 week, half the team plays next week. But I think that's not even happening this season. And then so there is that aspect, and maybe that's why.
And England or some countries also have a second domestic cup, which also just adds to it.
Yeah.
I think France do as well, but theirs is taken even less seriously. Have like another.
Well, no, they got rid of it. So France is very much like the Bundesliga now. So 18 teams, one cup competition, and then the best
one good team in the league.
Yeah, Monaco beat Barca.
Monaco and Leverkusen, yeah.
But like if you because I was just going through the most appearances by club, right? There's no Bundesliga players in the top 200. There's no
games.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
You can rotate your players so much more when you only play one good team a season.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing in the Premier League. You only play one good team a season.
Competitive.
Twice.
I tell you, that's another argument I have.
Competitive when Manchester City wins it every year. Oh, Arsenal's going good. They've dropped off 3 weeks off again. Liverpool's going good. They've dropped off 6 weeks again.
Arsenal put the pressure, and I'm telling you, Aaron Ramsdale will carry them to a title. Mark my words.
First choice keeper.
By leaving.
I think. Look, ultimately the issue, like the teams need to play more games because they need to make more money to pay the wages that have. Players don't want to reduce their wages. I mean, you got I'm gonna butcher his name. Cortez. How do you fucking say his name?
Courtois.
Thank you.
I'm just shocked we knew who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because he said it. He mentions the NBA. So players. His quote is: "Players who have gone far in Copa America or Euros have had 3 weeks of vacation." It's pretty standard. To be honest, I get 4 weeks. So that's impossible. NBA also has a demanding schedule.
You're a professional footballer, Jesse.
Yeah, but I probably work more than him.
Professional football.
No, but I get 4 weeks. He gets 3 weeks, but he can fly on his private jet to anywhere in the world anytime he wants.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he can't do it anytime he wants, but
it doesn't stop them.
I can't.
Sancho used to.
I don't know.
Sancho used to get in trouble all the time because he was over in bloody London instead of in Germany.
Yeah,
no one stopped him.
Well, Sancho got like a year's paid leave at United last year. It's also forget that.
But
I don't know if we want to be comparing average citizens to footballers. I just feel like
no. But like to continue the quote, like NBA also has a demanding schedule, but they rest for 4 months, which isn't true. Reducing games and salaries, I think there is enough income to pay salaries. That's his quote. So he doesn't want to reduce his salary because he thinks the clubs make enough money. Clubs don't make enough money; they want to reduce their salaries. Since in a 30-year period, player wages have increased by 2,800%.
That's like my mortgage.
Yeah. So club income hasn't increased by that much, but the player wages have.
I reckon that depends on the club, surely.
It's a top club, so the top clubs are not making enough money to pay the wages.
When you got clubs like us that I think us are probably a big copper in terms of like if we're offering these ridiculous wages, then other players and other clubs and other leagues will probably look and be like, well, United's offering that, pay me up.
Yeah.
And it becomes
this goes back to the last topic when we talked about Saudi Arabia and chasing the bag, right? Because in mid-2000s when United started offering bigger and bigger contracts and the Premier League started offering bigger contracts, Chelsea came in with money and did the same. City came in with money and did the same. Players from the top teams in Germany would earn more money going to Man City, who wasn't good at the time, so they would leave, right? So, how do you... These teams came in to start offloading money, and it's good when you're backed by an oil-rich country or you're backed by a billionaire who made his money in shady ways and doesn't care. But, how do other teams compete? They can't, so they have to play more games to keep making the same money for the players.
There's going to be a meeting halfway moment for both the players and the league, because so if your attraction is your players, and that's where companies are paying for the broadcasting rights so they can broadcast those players. I assume the viewership has just plummeted in La Liga since Cristiano and Messi have left. So
Mbappe is there now, so it's probably gone back up. But Vinny Jr.'s there.
He's not them. I don't think Mbappe and Vinny Jr. are going to get 62 million subscribers on YouTube in a month, but whatever.
The thing about 60 million, but the thing about Ronaldo against Messi though as well was it was a competition between the two teams, and there's nothing like that in La Liga now. No one's really going, oh, Yamal or Mbappe, because Yamal's not obviously at that level or anything yet. Maybe it'll be like Yamal versus Endrick at some point, who knows? But that kind of competition would drive the people wanting to watch it, so that's why it was definitely less now than it would have been back then.
But even then, again, the football, they weren't playing that much football back then, during those peak times. And I even remember as well, following them closely during their heyday. Towards the end, they were actually rotating a lot. There was a point where Ronaldo was playing, was barely making 30 games a season. They were just resting him for Champions League. Yeah. So it's been a thing. It's just, I don't know what the meeting halfway would be though, because again, there's not really much of a union. There's different leagues, different federations. So I don't know how it's going to work. And really, I guess Jesse does have a point when he says that FIFA can just be like, oh, tough titties. Because the only time there's ever been a joint effort to get what they want was, I suppose, the Super League. But that was more so because I suppose that's against club owners as opposed to against the entire.
That was also the fans turning on it. Compared to right now, it's the players, and that's a very different situation.
But it's harder. It's easier to fight those owners doing the Super League than it is to fight FIFA and UEFA and all those confederations. But you're right about the fans though, because I think so long as the fans keep watching these games, then
there's one other
there's a saying that always gets thrown around there's no football without fans, but there's literally no football if the players aren't going to play.
Yeah. But someone will want to play though. That's the thing, right? They might not.
But the quality won't be the same.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. If you go to a 10-year-old right now, and you're like, "Oh, who do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Mbappe play, or do you want to go and watch freaking Chelsea?" Even all right, they're gonna say Mbappe. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Chelsea's a good footballer. Reg, can you?
Doesn't matter. They're not choosing Nicolas Jackson over Mbappe.
Told you I would. Good.
But there's actually another.
He's not.
there's actually another thing we didn't discuss in regards to this whole situation, and we're saying, oh, so many games, it's fatigued and this and that. Physically, fair enough, but it's also I feel like fans really don't understand the mental aspect of being an elite athlete, and I'm not saying even playing for a Palace or Southampton or whatever. I'm talking about if you are the person who's carrying a team, to have that kind of mentality. If you're Salah, if you're Bruno, KDB, that kind of level, then there's a lot that comes to it. And playing 80 games a year, it is hard. And you got to be on 24/7.
No one's playing 80 games a year though, so there's a potential for someone to play 70.
Well, we're just talking. But my point though is
Pedri played close to 80 games that 1 year.
Yeah, but my point.
But that's bad, and that's a very one-off though. No.
My point.
Barca have done it. Just quickly, sorry. Barca have done it a couple of times. They killed Pedri, killed Gavi, killed Fati, and they'll probably kill Yamal. So
Fati got ruined by his own injuries. Pedri was ruined by Spain calling up for Euros and then the Olympics at the same time. Like, there's a bit
But
different.
that's my point, though. So you're saying no one's
Spanish
going to
people.
play 80 times a year, but the fact is maybe not in the club. But once you do add the fact that there is international competitions all the time, and there is the Nations League and this and that, they do end up playing 70, 80 games sometimes.
Yeah, 70 games, but because I've literally got it right now, the person who played the most games last season was like physical games, not minutes, because people played more minutes and less games. But the person who played the most games was Julian Alvarez, who played 72 games. Right? There's only 3 people who played over 70 games.
Who's the most minutes?
The most
what's
minutes was a
minutes? 'Cause he
goalkeeper,
can-
which is Oblak. The second most minutes was a player who doesn't play in Europe. So, who doesn't play for a top, Premier League team. Like, and the third player played outside of Europe. Otamendi was the second top.
Top team.
But I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to the clubs. Like the players need to reduce their wages. If they don't want to play that many games, that's fine. No one will care. Play less games, but reduce your wages, because how can you sit there when you're on 375 grand a week, which is more than all 4 of us will earn? Actually, maybe all us, but Yoni, I don't know how much Yoni earns. All 3 of us will earn a year. For
Hey, I
the
got
next,
a book. Watch
like,
that shit.
I don't think any of us are earning that much in the next 2 years combined. Like, that's a lot in a week. So, I think it's a bit rich for someone to go, oh, I can't play 70 games because I earn too much money and it's too hard for me. Like, no, dude, you earn 375k a week. You can fucking play the 70 games, or you can reduce your wages and not play the 70 games. Easy peasy. But I'm never going to side with a multi-millionaire who earns more than I will in a year. More than I earn in a year in a week. Like, fucking toughen up.
Yeah,
I don't care how
just
demanding this
again.
is.
So
just
easy
the
to say tough
landscape
up,
of it
but
all.
your body breaks, your mentality breaks. Like, it's easy to say it, and I bet you
You're earning 375 grand in a week. Your mentality can toughen up.
Jesse,
You know,
is your
though, that, like,
mentality
they're
for
still
your
humans.
260 days that you're working a year? Do you think you need to be as switched on as they do for what they're doing? Do you think that because they have
Really?
to eat, they have to eat well, they have to train, they have to sleep well, they have to, everything they do gets followed. When they go out, everyone watches them. Do you really think your life is quite the same? It is tough, mentality wise. That is tough,
Mate, if I make a mistake at work,
so
people's houses don't get painted, and that is life or death. So
yes, and I'm sure you go to sleep and you think, oh my God.
I do. Stresses me out 24/7.
It's
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I think I want to say it's out a touch opinion, Jesse, because I get it what you're saying, but they're still people. Like, yeah, they're on a lot of money. Like, let's not pretend that they're not. But they're still people, and it's still like a lot of football.
But
and it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of hang on. It's a lot of stress. There's a lot going on. Like, it's not just you earn this much, play. It's like
that's fine.
They earn that much for a reason. But I get it. Like,
player complaining is on 375k a week.
Yeah.
No, but the
And
top
they have
ones
to
are the
compromise.
ones that are complaining. Sorry, you don't see Harry
Dude,
Kane complaining
it's-
about the fixtures in Germany because they don't play that
Harry
many
Kane can't
games.
string a sentence together. That's why you can't hear him complain.
Oh, okay, fair
He can't
enough.
get a sentence
You don't
out.
hear Thomas Muller complaining about the fixtures in Germany because he doesn't. They don't play that many games and they still get paid well. So it's clearly
Yeah, but he can play but their entire season is 34.
Yeah, but
and they only have the one cup competition.
Yeah, add Champions League into as well though.
Yeah,
but
the big
international
teams in
appearances.
England.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
two-
Reduce the games, but reduce the wages. Because Thomas Muller is one of the best players in Germany, but doesn't earn nearly as much as Foden earns, for instance.
But if he wanted to, he could go to England. He would have earned that much.
Yeah, but
That's his choice.
But that's the thing, right? So if they want to complain about how much games they can play, go play for bloody Malcora in Spain or something and earn,
Mallorca.
That's the one.
Mallorca.
Pronunciation is it?
Malcora be the name of this episode, please.
I don't get paid enough. I don't get paid enough to form words properly. All right, call me Harry Kane.
Jeez.
But they can go
Cora,
to
fuck
Spain and play for an average club in there and still earn just more money than any of us will earn in our lives. So don't fucking sit here and
Jesse,
complain.
like you keep bringing up the whole like comparing how much they earn versus like what us and regular people earn, but we're not professional athletes. It's a different world.
Yeah, it's
They've
not as
sacrificed
if
their
they
entire
just like
lives
applied
from
for a
like
job
age 4.
on Seek to be a
Yeah.
professional footballer and got it.
Like
Yeah, but
like I think to myself like, oh, I'd love to get 300 grand a week like a footballer does. But then I think to myself, you know what? Like fuck that in a sense. Like, oh, obviously it's living the dream, but also like imagine the training, the travel, the scrutiny, the stress, the physical pressure, the eating, the nutrition, the recovery, the fact that like
Eden doesn't
constantly back
stop
and forth, like,
them. Look at Eden Hazard. Look at fucking Nicolas Sule.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
talking
like,
about one
they're
person.
I said two there, right?
also as well,
I just literally mentioned 2 players.
Who did you mention?
their bodies.
Sule and
He mentioned Sule
Hazard.
and Hazard.
Oh,
Their
Hazard, the
bodies are
one who
ruined.
ended up not doing well in Real Madrid because of his diet.
And still got paid millions.
Yeah, but he couldn't. You're literally missing the point here.
He got
He
paid
couldn't do
millions
it.
based off what he done at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also as well, like their bodies are completely like ruined. Their bodies are so ruined because of like the sacrifice they've made. Like, yeah, they earn a lot of money and they're not normal people, but because they're not normal people for a reason. They sacrifice a lot, and it's a different life. Like, we can't compare like what we go through versus because they're going to do all that shit and then still have real life problems because they're still people. They're still going to have problems, be it family problems, personal problems,
They have
mental
wives,
problems.
try
Who
to take
knows?
all the money.
If they got wives they have to cheat on, like things like that.
But
It still comes
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think, like,
they're still people.
they
Money
get
doesn't like
3 weeks
earning a
off.
lot doesn't band-aid. Earning a lot doesn't band-aid your problems.
Yeah,
Reggie's
so
point right
they-
now is going to be very true.
They play for, let's say, 10 to 15 years, and they get, 3 weeks off a season. So, and they're at a point where they're playing that many fixtures that they have to do pre-season in that 3 weeks off. So they arrive to pre-season. Like, you could talk about the money that they're earning, but they are very selfish and give away a lot of their life for that 15 years. Like, they may
I was
as well
watching
not be
Once again,
present.
though, it comes back to if they reduce their wages, the clubs don't need to play so many games to make as much money.
But that's not even true at the moment because it's not even about the club's
that-
money. It's about the expectations you
club's
get from the
fault
fans
for
as well
offering
at this
them-
point. Like what
The
Reggie
club's
was
offering
saying
them a lot of
now.
money as well. Like,
But no,
that's the club's fault for offering them money.
No fan is gonna get angry at their players if the games were reduced so the players had a better thing, as long as they reduce the money that they're earning. How do you expect? Yeah,
You don't know fans.
I do know
fans
fan.
feel
I am
like-
a fan.
Yeah, come on. Reggie's point though, they were talking about this on the overlap, and they were saying how back like when Rooney and Neville and them were playing, they would like go nuts for 3 or 4 weeks, come back preseason, and preseason was there for preseason. And now they're seeing people like Rashford doing, the boxing and this and that or whatever, the training, whatever the case is, and they're training hard before preseason so they can actually be good at preseason. Like, it's completely different. It's like they don't have the time off mentally, like to actually be like, I want to gain that 5 kilos in the next 3 weeks. They're not allowed to do that anymore. And fans online rip into them for that.
Yeah, there's players
media,
retiring like in their early 30s when they could go further because they want to be present for that family life. So it just shows they're getting a lot of money, but they are sacrificing so much.
And yes, let's not forget what happens whenever they make a mistake, and then, yes, some people deserve it like Maguire, but other people don't.
Hell!
It's
We had
still
such a good run. No Maguire slander. And then...
It's still
he just
ultimate-
needed to
it's still-
mention United.
it still ultimately comes down to like the clubs have to. They might have to go train more so they can be good in pre-seasons, and they have to play games in their pre-season, but they won't have to play those games if they don't earn that much money.
But that's not true. Because
It is true because the clubs
want to see the best players play. That is factual. You can say that they'll want to. They don't care if they play less. They do care. If I'm a fan and I'm going to see Man United, I want to see Bruno play every fucking game. Factual.
Yeah.
If I'm a fan and I'm going to see Real Madrid, I want to see Mbappe play every game. That
Okay,
is
but,
factual.
They reduce their
hear me
wages
this, right?
so they
That is
don't need to
factual.
play. The broadcasters then say, we're not broadcasting these stars so much, so their broadcasting deal reduces as well.
Yeah.
No, but we're not talking about the EPL or anything. We're talking about friendlies. If they don't need to come to Australia to play a friendly if they don't earn that much money, because the clubs need to generate this money.
I
How do you-
thought
how-
we
like
were
the
just
Austra-
talking about like competitive play. Friendlies,
No.
Nobody cares.
That's what I'm talking about. Is friendlies, right? Because they go play friendlies in their preseason. That's all the preseason is, and everyone talks about how that's a lot of work for them too. That's a part of the strike. Is they're talking about.
I'm sorry, they still need to play these friendlies though in preseason because they need to get into the rhythm of playing
Yeah,
a
but
game.
they'll play them in
I
England.
would
They'll
say the
play
problem
behind
is more
closed
the-
doors, not going
Those
to
ones I agree.
America or going to Australia or going to China or Saudi or
In my
anywhere to
opinion,
play these friendlies.
all of those friendlies like should just be in Europe if you're a European country,
Yeah.
like 100%.
The ones that make zero sense is when the league finishes on, say, the 27th of May
With
and
Spurs game, yeah, and
Tottenham are
Barcelona
playing
game. Oh, yeah.
Manchester United in
Spurs
Perth
come here
on
the
the
next day.
29th.
Yeah, those don't make sense, and those are like a
But
part of
those
the
are still
problem
few
too.
and far in between. That's
They're not-
nothing
they-
compared to everything else we've been discussing.
They're happening that more often, and that's part of
I've
the issue.
literally seen only maybe last year when I think Palace, Villa, and Spurs came, and the year before that when Barca came.
Yeah.
That's all I've seen.
Okay, Liverpool did it not long ago.
Yeah, but
Like,
after
players,
the season.
players aren't going to think about
Yes.
striking based off of two friendlies that happen. It's like the competitive fixtures that they're worried about.
Yeah, and so the Club World Cup pays into that, right? But that's, once again, clubs need to go to that because FIFA's promising $1.4 billion in income for all clubs that participate, not one each. Like the total pool is 1.4 billion. So that's a lot. That helps cover a lot of the wages that, once again, European players are on. So it comes down to the fact that if the players reduce their wages, the clubs can go, well, we don't want to partake in that because we don't need to partake in that, and they can just focus on the Premier League. If the Premier League knew that they were going to get Bruno Fernandes to play in every 36 or 38 games, whatever it is you guys play, then they're going to... I don't watch the Premier League, so of course I don't.
Don't watch Bundesliga.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I do. 34 games in the Bundesliga. But the thing is, if Bruno Fernandes is guaranteed to play all 38 games in the Premier League, then of course the broadcast rights are going to be still good. So he's still going to get that money, but he doesn't have to go play in the Club World Cup. So if he reduces his wages, the clubs don't need to go over there and play that. It all comes down to their wages being...
But you know what will happen? You say that, but you know what will happen? The club will say, still go. Because that's what they
But
want.
Then that's a valid strike, and I'm happy for them to go on strike for that.
That is actually a thing, because if you actually listen to what these players are saying, a lot of them have also been complaining about the clubs agreeing to do all these things.
Yeah, but the clubs agree to do it because they need to pay the players.
It's not just that. The clubs want money. Like, it's not just like, oh, we need money to pay the
Yeah,
player.
okay.
It's also, we need money because we're CEOs. We want to take dividends.
Player revenue has gone up more than anything. That's the biggest expense factor to
I just
clubs.
realized Jesse's owners don't take dividends. That's why he doesn't have this understanding.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
Glazers...
Yeah.
Fair enough. Jesse, look, we'll all agree that Jesse has the worst taste in everything. And, you know,
Most clubs run at a loss. That's the issue.
I know they do. I know this.
Whose fault's that? Whose fault's that?
The players for having all these monies that Man United started paying out, Chelsea started
No,
paying
no.
out,
Wait.
City started... No,
That's
don't
United's fault.
You've
That's
don't-
United's fault for
don't-
offering the money.
don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. You know what else plays a part? Is the player agent wages. Player agents take half the fucking money as well. So it all comes to that. Players- Players... No. Players shouldn't be able to afford to be able to fucking buy a club while they're still playing. Mbappe buying a fucking club in the French League 2 is ridiculous. And he earns way too much money, and that's an issue. So
French buying a club?
if he complains about how I play too much, take a fucking wage cut, mate, because you just brought a fucking soccer club.
But he's not
no,
complaining. is he?
Again,
No, because Mbappe's a good soul. It's just the bloody Premier League players who earn way more money than everybody going, I
again,
played
though,
too many
like,
games.
Doesn't
That's
play in the
your
Premier League.
league's fault.
You're-
That's your cup
you're mad-
fault. You
you're-
play EFL, which is a stupid cup, the FA Cup.
What is a
Oh,
stupid
Arsenal wins that. We're so proud. Man United win it. Oh, we've got a good
Arsenal
trophy.
doesn't win it.
Stop
No one
yelling.
cares about the FA Cup or the FAL Cup. That's your own problems. It's all Premier League players
I care
causing
about
these
the FA
issues. Yeah, because you win it. That's the
Hang on
only
though,
trophy
like,
you
you
win.
You've just got mad at players for accepting contracts that clubs are offering them. Like, how is it a player's fault? If I'm a player and the club say, we'll give you 500 grand a week, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what? Don't, because once you save money, I'll be like, fuck yeah.
No,
I'm with
the
Alex
issue-
because if you
the
look
issue-
at Man United's management and look at the fact pre Ineos and the Glazers before, they were handing out everything, blah blah blah. Ineos came in and they were like, "We're actually not going to pay that kind of wage for you. We're not going to do this." And they moved on. They didn't want to do something like Branthwaite because it was going to cost them money. So it's actually the owners who are making these mistakes, not the players who say, "Yeah, I'll take that money."
No, because the clubs need to compete with other clubs, right? So City, who's backed by a bloody oil-rich country, doesn't have to worry about whether or not they're making money because they can just
They're
keep
going to get
paying the
relegated
salaries.
anyway.
No.
Get relegated
That's
anyway.
irrelevant right now, all right? Please let me finish. I've let you finish. I've done you the respect of letting you talk. Let me
Bro,
talk.
you've talked like 70.
Yeah, I have, all right? Call me Piastri. I'm in first place right now.
He's gone 1v3. You're going to give him that. He's gone 1v3 right now.
So, Man United offers these wages because they need to compete with City, Chelsea, who at the time were backed by people who could just afford to spend money, not care, right? Everyone talks about, oh, I'd love to play for United, but if you're getting 500 grand a week from City and United's only offering you 100 grand, what are you going to take? Don't tell me, oh, I'll go to United. You fucking wait, you're going to go to City because they're offering you 400 grand more a week. Don't give me this, oh, I'll play for United shit. So, of course, the clubs need to offer more money, and now they have to bloody make that money out somewhere. All right? So, they do need to take pay cuts. All players need to take pay cuts. I 100% agree.
Well, they're not, are they?
No, they're not.
I mean,
and that's the issue.
Well,
They're going to go on strike, and they're all going to lose this strike because the fucking clubs are still going to go when we're playing the games. Yeah, I can't wait to see Rodri in bloody London with his little flags and his little fucking First Nation flags too, going fucking Dan Andrews caused my issues.
If City players do strike, it might be the first time that they ride on a bus in Manchester and there'll be fans actually supporting them.
I don't think the fans are going to support anyone.
Yeah, no.
On that note, this discussion definitely took longer than expected, but it was you would say a heated debate, in the words of Sky Sports Football. I think we are definitely clickbaiting that, Reggie, so you know what to do. But quickly, we just want to quickly touch on it. Again, I just want to quickly mention...
8 minutes till the race starts, so hurry up.
Champions League... Well, I mean, you kept talking. The Champions League, the European format... we'll just touch on it for a few minutes. What do we think? We know that Yoni and Reggie, you both like it. It's something different. I'll just quickly chuck in my thoughts. I maybe a bit of a traditionalist, and I'm not the biggest fan of it because I'm of the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, it's here. I'll give it a chance. We'll see what happens. The game's been good, so we'll at least see what happens.
You don't have to worry about it, mate. Your team's barely even going to be in it. Yeah, your team's barely going to be in the
Jesse,
Champions League.
I don't know about you, but I follow football absent of my team. I like to watch football because I like the sport. That's just me. But anyway, I will gladly see how it goes.
Fake fan.
And if it's a good season of football, then by all means. But Jesse, for the love of God, keep it brief. What are your thoughts on the European format?
It's fair. It's fantastic, mate.
Because you're like blowing out the speakers.
It's fantastic. Bayern Munich, first game, 9-2. We scored a lot of goals. Harry Kane.
Highlights?
No, I watched the full game. Thank you very much. We won 9-2. It was a good game. Not much else to say. Vincent Kompany, greatest manager in the world. And they got promoted. They got promoted, didn't they?
Yeah.
And relegated.
Exactly. That's Premier League's fault because he can't buy enough players because they all want big contracts. So
we're not doing this again. Alrighty.
Maybe Burnley should not strike.
We'll see how we go with the European format again. So that's some good games, but we'll see what happens in the long run given the congestion. But we can yap on it for ages, which we already have. But look, we'll leave it there because clearly Jesse's getting anxious that the F1's about to start in 6 minutes, even though it's kind of his doing. But aside from that, it has actually been a good discussion. Obviously, we've got points of contention that we disagree on, and everyone's gonna have an opinion on it, and that's fine. You know, we're all grown men. We're all gonna have opinions that we agree or disagree upon. Either way,
some of us
it's
have
be interesting
correct
to see.
opinions.
Opinions can't be correct. That's why they're opinions. Either way, we'll see what happens with fixture congestion going forward. We'll see what happens with the European format going forward. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, whether or not players do follow through with the strike. So let's keep an eye on it and just keep following the sport for the next few months. But Aside from that, any last words before we
Are
call it there?
are they doing a double header for Man City and Arsenal? Because the women's are playing at the same time. Are they not?
I don't know, nor do I care.
Okay, I thought you were a big fan of Leah Williamson. Does she play for Arsenal or United?
She does. Oh, I better watch that.
Yeah,
I'm
so
I'm a big fan of
there you go.
her Instagram.
All I know is that Haaland will score another hat trick.
One
Yes.
could hope.
Gabriel and Saliba are the greatest duo that ever existed.
Unless
Well,
Ramsdale's
what's going to
in
happen is
goals.
that Arsenal are going to play for a 0-0 draw, and their fans are going to talk about it like it's the greatest game of all time and a tactical masterclass, putting 11 players behind the ball.
I can't wait to see
Good stuff,
Ramsdale in that game. Is he playing?
Yep, he's their first choice keeper.
Beautiful.
Let's end it there,
Sign us
guys.
off there,
Take
buddy.
care and have a good night.
Bye bye.
Let's go, Ricardo.